Welcome to Tablenauts. My name is Max, and today we are going to be talking about 10 of the biggest games that I'm most excited about purchasing right now. I've taken this idea from our friends Dylan and Carlo at All You Can Board, so thank you for laying down the groundwork for me to jump in and share some games that I'm excited about as well. I've broken this up into 5 different categories. We've got $20, $40, $60, $80, and $100 plus, and I'm going to be mentioning 2 games per category, but I'm really only going to be talking about one semi-in-depth. The other I'm just going to kind of toss in as an aside, mention it a little bit. If you have any thoughts about either of those, let me know. I'm interested, clearly. To get us started today in the $20 category, we have a game that frankly and unfortunately, I don't know a lot about. I've read about it, I've watched a little bit about it, but it seems complex to explain and understand, but simple to play. This is called Scout. This is from Oink Games, the Japanese publisher, otherwise known for the small box games. They've done Deep Sea Adventure and Insider and things like that. Big popular company, vibrant colors. I love the aesthetics of what they do. But Scout is one of the more recent ones. You can't really get this right now, but when it becomes more available, it'll be right around that $20 mark. This is a game in which you basically take your hand of cards and you're never able to reshuffle them in your hands, right? In a typical card game, I'm gonna take my hand of cards and I'm gonna arrange them by symbols, by suits, or I'm gonna arrange them numerically, lowest to highest, whatever it may be. And in this game, you're not allowed to do that. The cards are also interesting in that they have like 2 values per card. So this card may be worth a 6 or a 7, depending on which way it's oriented. And essentially, throughout the game, you are going to be taking a set of cards. So if I have multiples of 4s and laying them on the table, that's an action. Or your other action is take a card from the set on the table. And I believe there's only allowed to be 1 set ever present on the table. So until that one's exhausted, that's the set. And essentially you're just trying to get like the best run of possible, I believe, in your hand. It seems like a game where you're very limited in what you can do, but one that seems really fun and exciting and tense once you actually get to the table. I know at PAX and Dice Tower West, people have been playing this and loving it. Basically, everyone I've heard talked about it has really had a good time with it, and it's piqued my interest right this moment. So hopefully, it'll become more available soon and I'll be able to try it out. And then the second game, again, not gonna talk about it a lot, but it's Isle of Cats Explore and Draw. This is the roll and write that is, I believe, currently available for about 20 bucks. This is from City of Games. They published Isle of Cats. Shocker, surprise, I know. I'll be honest, I like Isle of Cats. I don't love it, and it's a giant box, and I need a roll and write that I really can sink my teeth into. There's some that I just have passed on. Cartographers I like, don't love. I'm hoping this may be the polyomino version of a roll and write that I end up really enjoying. Moving on to the $40 limit. This list is one that I'm probably most excited about. Nah, that's not true. Looking down the rest of the paper, they all look like incredible games. One of these, and the one that I really want to buy, is actually one that A, I had a chance to purchase and did not, and B, I have played. I played this once at the 4-player count just recently. This was with Emily and Josh Doolin and my wife Danielle. This is Long Shot, the dice game by Perplexed. This is a game that I actually had the opportunity to purchase, but I didn't, and then I played it, and now I really wish that I would have. It's a dice roll and write game about basically betting on horses. The game that I can closely compare it to would be Camel Up, but they're not the same, right? Basically, in Long Shot, the dice game, you're going to be rolling 2 dice as your action. 1 dice is going to tell you which horse moves by the color and the number on the dice, and then another one is going to tell you if it moves 1, 2, or 3 spaces. Then those horses also bring other horses along with them, so if red moves, well, yellow and blue may also move. There are some horses that get moved more often on other cards. For example, red, the number 1, gets moved on like 5 out of the 8 horses, whereas purple, number 8, gets moved on like 1 or 2 of the other horses. So the odds, if you bet on purple to win, you're gonna win mass amounts of money. If you bet on red to win, your odds are so good that you're not winning as much, but it's a more surefire bet. In our game that we played, it was wild. Purple won. Emily bet so much money on purple, bought the horse. It was wild. It came in second, I should say. I bought the horse that came in first, but it was just, with the money that we bet, it was a really tight game, but super exciting. At the end of the game, especially when you start using these wilds and kind of comboing things, you can really affect the field a lot. So like if I knew that Doolin was gonna want 4 to win, I can use one of my abilities to essentially move some horses forward or move some horses back. It's a very interactive dice game and I loved it. We were just bickering back and forth like, ooh, I need to wait until I see what Doolin does because then I might jump in and mess with him. So engaging. I just really like this one and want to purchase it. The next in my $40 tier is Europe. Nope. The next in my $40 tier is Caper Europe. This is the more recent 2-player game by Keymaster Games. Obviously, Keymaster, the designers of Parks, it's a beautiful production. It looks stunning. But it also sounds exciting too. You're essentially a caper, you know, most people probably know what that means, but I don't really. But it's basically like heists, right? So like you're trying to gather spies and equipment and things to plan and execute the perfect heist, and you're going up against an opponent. It's a 2-player only game. I've heard predominantly good things about this. In fact, some rave reviews from some people that I enjoy watching, like Bored of It, and then a few that have been a little middling, but one that I just have to try. I have to try it for myself because it seems like the theme, the aesthetics, and the components, and like everything might just mesh to make an incredible 2-player experience for me. On to the $60 limit, I have 2 games here, one of which I have already owned, sold, and I want it back. The first of which though is Vagrant Song. This is by Word Miniatures, which is kind of ironic because there's no miniatures in Vagrant Song. I feel like that company's probably heard that bit every time this game's been mentioned on YouTube. But regardless, this is a co-op, story-driven narrative boss battler. So you're essentially on like a haunted train trying to move through different rooms on the train, fighting different bosses along the way. If you know me, you know I love boss battlers, Kingdom Death Monster, Townsfolk Tussle, stuff like that. I just love that kind of experience when it comes to video games. I'm a big fan of Monster Hunter and Elden Ring and things like that. These games give me that opportunity to work on my character before I fight the boss. Then I fight the boss. Was it enough? Oh no, it wasn't. Let's go back and try it again. It just looks so much fun. The aesthetics are right there for me. I love cooperative games. I love boss battlers, story, narrative, whatever. I don't know when I'll get my hands on this. And even if I do, I don't know when I'd actually play it. But I'm really excited to try it out because it just looks like it might be right up my alley. Now, I won't speak on this one too much because, again, I've already owned it, sold it, won it back, but this is Bullet by Level 99 Games. Bullet heart symbol, actually. This is the game where you're essentially programming and moving things on your board to wipe off bullets and push them towards a boss or another player in the competitive mode. I loved everything about this, but I just wasn't sure that it was going to get tabled. Then we played the most recent game found from Awakened Realms, Tamashii, and that experience kind of brought me back into wanting to get back to the programming, action-packed, time-based fun that is Bullet. I think this could be a solo game that I actually dig because it's timed and there's not a lot of setup and there's not a lot of, you're not going to be playing for hours on end. And for me, solo gaming is not something that I've yet really grasped onto, so I think that that might be a good place to go. And also the competitive mode is just so fun. It's not up Doolin's alley, it's a little too stressful for him, but this is a game I really want to get back. Moving on to the $80 tier, I have 2 other games, one of which I have played twice actually, but not my own copy. And that is, unsurprisingly, everyone's already talking about it, Ark Nova by Capstone Games. This is the zoo builder game, said to be the terraforming Mars killer, which I've never played Terraforming Mars, so I can't speak to that, but I loved my first 2 plays of this. It is a beast, not necessarily in how difficult it is to table or how difficult it is to set up, because I really don't think it's that bad, but it did take about 2 hours per play at the 2-player mark. Granted, both of those plays, we were both learning, so like it's not that egregious in my opinion. I've seen some people really mark it down for its game length. I genuinely think this is a 60 to 90 minute game once you get familiar with it, to clarify, at the 2-player count. But I loved it. There's a bit of randomness that it's been kind of hit on, because it is. The stack of cards is this tall. You may not get the elephant that you need, but I don't mind that. I planned my first game trying to go for all petting zoo animals, and it kind of worked out. I got 3. I'm assuming there's far more in the deck that I didn't see, and if I would have had, maybe would have ran away with a win. I won though. The second game, I got destroyed. It was Doolin's first game and he bodied me like 30 to -5 or something like that. I got absolutely wrecked. and I still had so much fun doing it. So after 2 plays, I can officially say that I do want to buy my own copy of Ark Nova. I very much loved it. I'm not so eager to say top 10 game of all time or game of the year. I'm not there just yet, but I really do have to play it. The action selection system is just so unique and so, you can be so strategical with it, so rewarding. That's the word I want to say. It's rewarding and satisfying. Next on the list is one that I haven't played. I know a little bit about, but predominantly because of theme, I really want to get Glenmore 2 Chronicles. This is by Fun Tales. This is a game about like your Scots clan, right? So you're essentially trying to get beer and farm animals, and it's a farming game, civ game, whatever. We're essentially just trying to get ingredients to better your clan's life, and you're competing against one another. It's a tile laying game, which I always love. I like those things. I love the theme. It's got little Scotsman meeples. It's beautiful. But really, both my wife and I are big fans of Outlander and of Scotland in general. And so the theme is what's like most interesting for me, because I know that Danielle will want to play this game if we get it, and hopefully we'd both enjoy it, especially just at the 2-player count. Also, I promise you, I just lint rolled this shirt before we started. He's already been rubbing up on me, so if it looks bad, that's his fault. And now Remy's over here because he can't handle when another animal gets attention. See, there he is. So here we are. Moving on to the $100 plus and the final 2 games that I'm going to talk about today, we have a game that Leanne is going to hold over my head for ages and ages to come, and this is Karuka. Karuka by Karuka, I think. This is basically Karam meets, oh gosh, snooker. That's my understanding of it, at least. I've never played Crom. I've never played snooker. It can kind of be compared to billiards on the table or crokinole as well. You've got discs and you're playing snooker with it. I don't even know what snooker is. I'm a American. We don't have snooker here that I'm aware of. Maybe I'm wrong, but it looks so fun. It's on the Lazy Susan. It spins around. It's honestly not, I mean, it's expensive, but like I paid $300 for that crokinole board. I think Karuka's like 140 or 50 or something like that. It just looks so fun. You're hitting things into little holes, basically like billiards, but on a table and flicking and discs. Like, I'm into that. What's not to like? Unfortunately, they aren't producing this game in the States yet or anywhere outside of UK, I believe. So it'll be quite some time before I'm able to, if I'm ever able to get my hands on one of these. But it looks just like a blast, an absolute joy of a time. And last and not least, there's a hobby that I didn't want to admit to you that I've recently found myself getting invested in. It's funny, actually, because I've never played the game, ever. But I've spent a decent bit of money on it. I've spent a lot of time on it, cutting, gluing, priming, painting, but I really enjoy that process when it comes to Warhammer. I've yet to play a single thing. I just recently purchased a Kill Team starter pack, and I hope to get it to the table with my friend Kenny, who's in our Discord, which you should join if you haven't already, sometime soon. And then report back to you, see if it's whether it's something I actually enjoy, or if it's just a hobby I want to maintain with the painting, because I really like that aspect. But obviously, it'd be better if I also enjoyed the game on the table. I have a Warhammer 40k starter set, Elite Edition, which I began painting some salamanders. No clue what they are. I just know that they are like, they live in lava, and they're like, their skin is like coal, yet they're like the nicest people in the universe. Not that they don't still murder people because, you know, grim dark future Warhammer, but like they're the nicest people in the game. That sounded cool, so I painted a bunch of green stuff. Now I've got other things to paint. I didn't want to admit this to you. I know. I'm a nerd. What 10 or 5 or any games are you most interested in buying right now? Because there's probably plenty that you have Because there's probably plenty that you're interested in that I've never heard of. So leave your answers down in the comments below, and I'll be happy to check them out. Maybe you'll be featured next time, and maybe next time we'll talk about whether I was able to purchase any of these, or whether I just forgot about them. Because that's the thing we do in the hobby. We put things down on a list, and a month later we just forget about it. Unless it's really perplexing to us. So we'll see if any of these hold up. Okay, animals. Go nuts. Go wild. The show is yours. Do whatever you want. My shirt's gone. I don't need it anymore. Video's done. Now you're just gonna sit here, huh? What's up, Remy? What you doing? Hi. That's the show.